You're not doing it right. Someone had to tell you, but you already had that gut feeling. 25 years behind a corporate office door didn't prepare you for putting on a sales hat. You never really understood the sales team, and they never really understood you. Now you're one of them, and the hat doesn't quite fit. If your plan for getting clients right now is posting on social media and hyperconnecting, hoping someone recognizes you, we need to have a conversation because scrolling for answers isn't a business strategy. It's a Hail Mary and some holy water dressed up as a plan late at night, propped up against a pillow, searching, how do I get clients? While another bag forms under your left eye. I've been there. And if that's where you are today, this episode is for you. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Suzette Cotto, founder of Innovate Launch, and welcome to episode 14 of the Launchpad Pod, the revenue asset every accomplished female founder needs before her first sale. Today, we're talking about one of the business assets almost every accomplished female founder overlooks because no one ever taught them to build it. You spent years becoming exceptional at what you do. You learned how to lead, manage budgets, negotiate contracts, run departments, solve impossible problems, build trust, deliver results. You mastered all of the things. What you didn't learn was how to market yourself after your exit from corporate to founder. Corporate America taught you how to become indispensable inside someone else's company. Entrepreneurship asks something completely different. It asks you to become visible and to build trust before someone ever meets you virtually or in person, to create opportunities before you need them, and to build relationships at a scale that isn't possible one networking lunch or one coffee meeting at a time. Most accomplished women don't realize that until they need leads or the next contract or opportunity. But by then, you're coming out of the gate of entrepreneurship already behind. And I know you're not desperate. You're just feeling a little defeated, and I think I know why. You've spent decades relying on the same things that made you successful in corporate: built in legacy relationships, referrals, phone conversations, networking where the room knew you before you entered. And all of those things still matter, but today that room is in your rear view mirror and there are new ones on the horizon. And you may see as you step into this next chapter companies winning today that aren't the smartest. They aren't the most experienced, and they certainly aren't always the most qualified. They're persistently pursuing your prospects. I'm going to share a true story about a company that didn't prioritize something fundamental. It's something that keeps us top of mind with decision makers and stakeholders. When we first met, they were a young company with an ambitious vision for growth. They hired my agency to handle their social media marketing. Over the years, I watched them grow into a highly respected company in a global industry vertical. They were subject matter experts who could solve problems their competitors struggled with, answers to complex problems in a highly regulated industry. They weren't competing on price and they weren't a commodity. Their expertise was what they built with, and they continued to grow. I kept bringing up the same recommendation. Hey, we need to build a marketing system that protects the relationships you've already worked so hard to earn by remarketing to their current customers and managing those relationships. The answer was always no. The leadership team was incredibly protective of their customer relationships. They wouldn't allow me to access their database, even with a signed non-disclosure agreement. In fact, they took it one step further. They wouldn't allow me to publicly talk about many of the projects they were completing because they were afraid a competitor would discover who their clients were. I understood the concern, but it's a double-edged sword here. When you've spent years building relationships, protecting them feels like the responsible thing to do. So we respected their decision and continued building new warm opportunities. But there was one critical piece of the strategy we could never implement. We couldn't build the marketing infrastructure, the conduit, and the automation sequences that would protect and nurture the relationships they had already spent years earning. Then something happened. After years of steady growth, they made what I believe was a knee-jerk decision. They wanted faster results, so they hired another marketing company. They rebranded with a new logo. They launched a brand new website, and I'm guessing somebody at marketing company number two got a very nice commission out of that decision. My client paid for that twice. Once when they wrote the check, and again 2 years later, when their phone stopped ringing. Without realizing it, they had paid to erase years of search authority and digital equity that they had already earned. They were starting over with the search engines. My phone rang one day, and I'll never forget the conversation. Hey, Suzette, our website isn't getting traffic and leads have slowed to a crawl. So I thought hard and then I re-engaged with them and I got busy. Over the next several months, I worked hard to remind the leadership team of the something I had believed from the very beginning. You're not a commodity. You're not competing on price. Your competitors cannot do what you do. They don't have your subject matter experts. They don't have your depth of experience. They cannot deliver the same level of results. Your expertise is your competitive advantage. The problem wasn't that their competitors had suddenly become better, they hadn't. But when my clients' former customers had a need, someone else showed up. Not because they were the best choice, because they were the findable choice online, filling a short term need at the exact moment my client was no longer part of the conversation. Finally, the leadership team agreed to implement the strategy we should have started years earlier. And they handed us 10,000 contacts that had been sitting inside an unsecure spreadsheet. Before we could legally communicate with them, my team spent weeks validating every email address and preparing the database for a compliant marketing platform. And let me pause here. This is where the word spam matters. You cannot simply pull thousands of names out of an old marketing contact system and start sending marketing email messages. There are legal and compliance considerations. There are permissions, opt-ins, and opt-outs. There's list hygiene, and that's a whole other conversation, but it matters. So my team went through the list manually, address by address, contact by contact, and what we found was heartbreaking. More than half the database was gone. People had retired, changed companies, accepted promotions, moved into different roles, or their email address simply no longer existed. After years of building relationships, what remained was a skeleton of a database and a list that had gone cold. Watching that happen reinforced something I already knew. You rarely lose business because you stop being good at what you do. You lose business because you stop being part of the conversation. Your expertise is your competitive advantage, but expertise alone doesn't protect your business. The company they know, trust, and remember is the company they call. That's why I believe your job is to become exceptional at what you do. And my job as your marketing guide is to build the marketing infrastructure, the conduit, and the automation sequences that protect the relationships you've already spent years creating. You focus on your expertise. I'll build the systems that keep you connected. So when your clients have a new opportunity or challenge, or the person you've spent years building a relationship with is promoted, changes companies, or retires, you're ready. You already have a strategy to welcome the next decision maker into the relationship and begin building trust before your competitors even realize there's been a change. Relationships don't end when people change jobs, they evolve. And most likely, that person who left is in a role similar to where they came from. And that in itself is another opportunity to explore. And your marketing should evolve with all of that. A thoughtful, personalized nurture strategy ensures that your expertise doesn't leave the room when your decision maker does. It creates a bridge between the relationship you've already earned and the one you're about to build. And that's how you continue to grow. Protect the relationship equity you've already worked so hard to earn. You do the work, you deliver the results, you build the expertise, and we make sure the conduit of the relationship stays intact. So when you have a new offer that can benefit your clients and prospects, you can communicate it as a trusted advisor who has their best interests in mind, not as a salesperson trying to sell the next best thing. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So now let me tell you about another client. She couldn't have been more different. She just retired after 30 years in education and administration at 56. She wasn't ready to play golf, and she wasn't planning week-long spa sabbaticals in Sedona with singing bowls and hour-long massages. And she definitely wasn't signing up for cooking classes, even though cooking was her passion. She still had something left to contribute where she left off. She had spent 3 decades solving problems for teachers, administrators, and school districts. She identified a critical curriculum gap, and she knew she had the experience to help fill it. What she didn't know was how one person reaches more than 1,200 independent school districts whose decision makers she never met, more than 9,000 campuses. It's overwhelming when you look at those numbers. How do you even begin? One cold call at a time? One networking event at a time? One LinkedIn message at a time? No. You build the system first. Before she ever started making calls, we built her database. We created a lead magnet that solved a real problem for educators. We built a landing page and created the conduit and automation sequences that welcomed every new prospect into her world 24/7. Now, every person who raised their hand and asked for that resource entered a thoughtful nurture sequence designed to educate, build trust, and prepare them for the next conversation. Then she picked up the phone, but it wasn't to cold call strangers, but to follow up with people who had already told her they were interested in her solution. Think about that for a minute. By following a simple plan that she learned in my course, she had set up an automated lead engine. Within 2 weeks, she was having introductory conversations with district level decision makers, not gatekeepers, decision makers within 30 days. She had verbal commitments to move forward. 30 years of experience and a plan of action supported by 30 days of intentional marketing. The automation didn't make her credible, 30 years in education did that. The automation made sure the right people discovered that credibility. And that's the difference. Marketing doesn't replace your expertise, it creates the opportunity for your expertise to be seen. And that's exactly why I teach women to build the system before they think they need it. Because when your marketing is working while you're sleeping, while you're meeting with clients, while you're creating, or simply just living your life, you no longer are chasing opportunities. You're creating a predictable way for the right opportunities to find you. That's what we're building together. Here's what I hope you take away from today's conversation. You have spent decades becoming exceptional at what you do. That experience is your competitive advantage. Don't let it become your best kept secret. Your expertise deserves more than a social media post that disappears tomorrow. It deserves a system that predicts the relationships you've already earned, builds the new ones every single day, and keeps you part of the conversation long before your clients need you. Because when they do, I want your name to be the one they remember. If you're ready to build the system, I'd love to help. And while you're there, I invite you to join the free Innovate Launch community. It's a community of accomplished women who are leaving corporate, building businesses with intention, and learning how to become the trusted authority in their market without pretending to be someone they're not. The link is in the description. If today's episode encouraged you, challenged your thinking, or reminded you of someone who needs to hear this message, share it with them. Subscribe to the Launchpad podcast here so you don't miss the next episode. And if you value today's conversation, I'd be grateful if you'd leave a thumbs up and a comment. Keep building your expertise, and I'll help you build the system that makes sure the right people discover it. I'm Suzette Cotto, founder of Innovate Launch, and I see you, I support you, and I want you to be successful. And I'll see you on the inside. Take care.